Shabbat Shalom, everyone. In this week's Torah portion, Parashat Emor, we read about the mitzvah of the Omer. The Omer is a special offering, a barley offering, which was brought from the time of the second night of Passover all the way until Shavuot. In the beginning of the time, remember, the Jewish people were leaving Egypt as slaves. They were just like the Egyptians. They lived there for 210 years. And so now they were going to the greatest revelation in the history of the world, the giving of a Torah. They had to go through a total transformation. And that is done every single day of the Omer, 49 days. We elevate ourselves and we prepare ourselves for the giving of a Torah, the upcoming holiday of Shavuot, which will be on 2 weeks on Sunday night. And we hope that you'll join us on that Monday for the 10 Commandments. But the Omer also became known for also a time of mourning because the students of Rabbi Akiva, the 24,000 students of Rabbi Akiva, passed away. And therefore, it's a time where we don't have weddings and we don't cut our hair and we don't have celebrations. Nevertheless, the 33rd day of the Omer, the 33rd night of the Omer, which we celebrated last night on our rooftop, is a day of grand celebration. And the reason for that is Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, it's the Hilula, the passing of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, who asked on his day that he passed away. Number one, the plague stopped. And number two is he asked that his day should not be a sad day, but a day of grand celebration. And so it is always customary that we have a grand party and grand celebration. Last night we had on our rooftop over 250 people celebrating the Hilula of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Nevertheless, that celebration was marred with tremendous sadness because this year we witnessed the terrible tragedy of what happened last night at the tomb of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, where sadly 45 Jews were killed in a terrible stampede, and many, many more are injured, which we wish them a very fruish shlema. May they recover very quickly, and for those that passed away, may their souls be elevated from this terrible tragedy. It's a very difficult moment because on one hand we have grand celebration that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai asked that his day should be a grand celebration. On the other hand, it's a time of mourning. Again, we just finished the mourning of Rabbi Akiva students, and now it seems like we're back to mourning again this terrible, the worst tragedy in the land of Israel outside of wartime. And so, how do we deal with this? And the answer, the Rebbe always told us, and that is, how do we deal with challenge in our life, is not by trying to analyze it, because it's out of our mind space. It's something that's out of something that we can't comprehend. But what we do is we try to build upon it. We try to do something in honor of the souls that were lost. We do something in honor of the people that were lost last night. And that is how, through building, through growing, is how we are able to continue. It's not a time to stop celebrating the story of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, but it's a time to celebrate differently. And so what I would propose is Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is always a time of grand fire, madurot. We had on last night on our rooftop, we had a grand furnace. We built big bonfires. We celebrate around the fires. But the reason why we celebrate around the fires is because Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai gave us the Zohar. Well, he explained us the Zohar. He wrote down the Zohar. The Zohar is the third part of the Torah, the Kabbalah, which gives us the warmth of the Torah. And just a very simple understanding of what the Zohar is the Kabbalah teaches us what happens when we do a mitzvah. And so God gave us the mitzvot, He gave us the laws, the Talmud expounds on the laws, but the Kabbalah tells us what happens when we put on tefillin. What is that connection that we make with God? What happens when we light Shabbat candles? What happens when we eat kosher? What happens when we do a mitzvah? How does our soul become elevated and connected with Hashem when we do that mitzvah? And that's what the Kabbalah teaches us. And therefore it gives us that warmth, it gives us that feeling, because we finally have an understanding of that deep connection that we have with Hashem. It's not just do, like we're going to hear by the giving of a Torah, Na'aseh v'nishma, we'll do and we'll listen. But the Zohar, the Kabbalah, actually gives us and explains us how it impacts our lives and Hashem's, how that connection that we have with Hashem. And so therefore, the warmth of the Torah is represented by the fire on Lag BaOmer. And so last night we witnessed a terrible tragedy, but as we know, the soul of God is the candle of God. The soul of the man is like a candle of God. And that's why we memorialize souls with a candle. And so today we're going to light a candle in memory of the many Jews that perished last night, the 45 souls that perished. But we should also light a candle of growth. And that is a candle for Shabbat. Make sure if you haven't lit Shabbat candles, do it this week. and continue from this week in honor of the 45 Jews who were killed last night. Or the candle of Torah, the warmth of Torah. If you haven't studied Torah, if you haven't studied Chassidut, Kabbalah, add a little bit more into our life. If we haven't done it till now, this can be the impetus, this can give us the strength to move forward and to be able to try to find meaning in every sad situation. And so as we go into this Shabbos Parshat Emor, the Shabbos in which we read about the Omer, the Lag BaOmer, which until last night was always about grand celebrations. But after last night, we will have to change that little celebration into a new meaning, to find a new meaningful experience in our life. And may we do that in memory of the souls who passed away last night. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. And please join us in Shul. We're going to have a very special service and Tehillim for those Psalms, for those who need a refuah shlema or in the hospital now, the hundreds that are in the hospital, and in memory of those who were lost last night. Shabbat Shalom.